You're watching the Runfoot YouTube channel. I'm Finlay and this episode is on the brand new Nike Vomero 18 running shoes. We'll cover the tech, how they feel to run in and what this model is best suited to. Hope you enjoy. But first, a little bit of Vomero history. The first Vomero was launched in 2006 and this model was designed to be the most cushioned and comfortable model in Nike's lineup. Vomero is actually a hilltop district in Naples, Italy, and the story is that the Nike team were visiting the area and they were inspired by all the runners who were meeting and training in Vomero. Now, since 2006, the Vomero has gone through a lot of changes, and it's fair to say in recent years, the Vomero has shifted from its initial roots. And this is because while the Vomero has always been around offering a lot of cushioning, recent additions have felt more and more responsive. However, the Vomero 18 has gone through a complete reset, and this edition is all about comfort. The Nike Vomero 18 now sits in Nike's Max cushioned silo, and it's designed to offer an ultra protective ride for everyday miles. So not only does the Vomero 18 have a very different look to previous versions, the midsole geometries and materials are very different to what's come before. So on to the tech. First of all, the stack height is a lot higher. So the heel sits at 46 millimeters, forefoot sits at 36 millimeters. So there is a lot of cushioning under your feet. The midsole features two layers of foam. So there's a bottom layer of ReactX foam and then a top layer of Nike's ZoomX superfoam. There's also quite a prominent curve to the bottom of the midsole, so from the heel to the forefoot, and that rocker geometry should help smooth out transitions from landing to takeoff. And if we take a look at the outsole, this central section of the outsole rubber, Nike call this podular traction. And what this means is there's breaks or gaps between the outsole rubber, and that helps also smooth out those transitions from landing to takeoff and complements that rocker geometry. But if we look at the rest of the outsole, we can see how there's a lot of Nike's waffle traction around the perimeter, and that should really help improve durability and also grip. When it comes to the upper, it's all about comfort. And while it's not crazy amounts, there is a lot of padding on the inside of the ankle collar and then on the tongue. So lots of plush cushioning. The upper is designed to offer a lot of breathability and also support. It's obviously different on the colors that you look at, but these blue lines, this haptic print, which you can see on the medial side, on the lateral side, and then at the back of the shoe, they all increase the support of the upper material. From a fit perspective, the Vomero 18 should suit a lot of runners and foot shapes, and it's probably pretty unlucky if these don't work for you. And that's because the toe box offers a pretty accommodating fit. I would say they fit slightly wider and broader than the Pegasus, which is interesting because they should be very comparable. The midfoot and the ankle also offer very good lockdown. So for those invincible runners out there who maybe have struggled a little bit with that ankle lockdown, this feels very different, very secure around the back of the foot there. And there's no doubt that Nike has done a brilliant job of getting the fit right in this. It's exactly what most runners are looking for those easy everyday miles. You just want the upper to feel comfortable, supportive, and really you just want to forget about the shoes on your feet, which is what this upper delivers very well. On to the cushioning then. As you'd expect, the midsole feels very protective underfoot. And it's fair to say that while everyone's different, a lot of runners are going to find this cushioning very comfortable under their feet. Now, interestingly, even though there's a lot of ZoomX foam under your feet, which is a very soft material, the midsole doesn't actually feel that soft. Don't get me wrong, it feels very plush, but there's definitely models out there which feel a lot softer under the foot. And I guess the key takeaway from this section and our feedback on the midsole is the Vomero 18 are going to suit runners who enjoy or are looking for a really protective underfoot feel, but don't enjoy running in a midsole that feels ultra soft. And just to build on that point, just because a midsole is in ultra soft doesn't mean that it's not offering a huge amount of cushioning under your feet. This midsole feels incredibly protective. You can barely feel the ground when you're running along at an easy pace. But one of the main benefits of the slightly firmer nature to the midsole is that it feels very, very stable under your feet. And that's also complemented by the wide base net. So the base of the Vomero 18 is very broad. So that midsole construction alongside the wide base nets really delivers one of the most stable feels that we've experienced from a max cushion running shoe. So again, just to try and reinforce who the Vomero 18 is suited to, this is going to work really well for runners who are seeking that max cushioned, ultra protective underfoot feel, but also are looking for great support and structure under their feet. While the curved heel-to-toe geometry definitely helps smooth out transitions from landing to takeoff, that's something that you should experience from your first step in the Vomero, how smooth those transitions are. The rocker geometry doesn't feel that prominent, and I guess that sets a natural ceiling as to what the Vomero 18 are suited to, because if you pick up the pace and start running a bit steadier in it, yes, there's great energy return on offer from the midsole, and you can do those steadier efforts, but you definitely notice that lack of propulsion in comparison to some other models. And that's not really a criticism, because the Vomero 18 ultimately are designed to deliver amazing comfort for those easy everyday miles. But I guess what we're trying to say is that if the drop was maybe slightly lower and there's a slightly more prominent curve to the midsole, it'd probably feel a little bit more agile and dynamic, which would potentially make it feel a little bit better at those steadier efforts. So again, just from testing, what we're really finding is that the midsole geometry lends itself best to those easy miles and those slow efforts. It's also likely that the Vomero 18 are going to be best suited to those runners who land more towards the heel of the shoe, the rear foot section. And that's just because of the high drop and the fact that there's a lot of protection and cushioning under that section of the shoe. Midfoot to forefoot strikers just aren't going to get the benefit of all that cushioning there, and they're probably also going to be adding some unnecessary weight under their feet. And just building on that higher drop and the amount of cushioning there, it's fair to say that the Vomero 18 could have quite a lot of benefits for runners who maybe struggle from lower leg tightness in their calf area, just because of the way that that geometry might help take some of the load off those working muscles. Overall then, and to recap on some of the points made throughout the episode, the Vomero 18 are easily one of the most stable and supportive max cushion running shoes we've ever tested at Run For It. They should feel best for those slow runs, easy miles, and long, slow distances. While the midsole is energetic enough for some steady runs, the Vomero 18 wouldn't be our first choice for that type of intensity. Ultimately, if your priority is to feel as comfortable as possible in your slow runs and your everyday sessions, or you want to reduce the chances of post-run muscle soreness, then that is what we recommend the Vomero 18 for. And equally, that means that this model is a great option as a recovery shoe for when you want to take the stress off your legs when you've done a particularly hard session, such as an interval training session or a long race pace focus session. The Vomero Plus will be released later on in the year, and without giving anything away, that will add even more choice to Nike's Max Cushion running silo. However, I think it's fair to say that a lot of runners should find a place for both the Vomero 18 and the Vomero Plus within their running shoe rotation. And that brings me to the end of this episode. No, there is no more information being shared about the Vomero Plus, so you'll need to stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We've run nearly 100 kilometers in the Vomero, so if you do have any questions or want to know anything else about how the shoe performs and feels to run in, please comment on the episode and we will get back to you as soon as we can. See you soon.